So should I start? Are all the people in the...
Yes, please feel free to start. We don't see the presentation in presentation mode though.
Okay, I'll do that. Thank you. So I'll just start with a quick introduction of myself and my co-speaker. So my name is Farhan Sami. I'm a senior water supply sanitation specialist at the World Bank. I'm based in Islamabad, Pakistan, and working in the bank for 20 years. And before that, have worked with UNDP, Asian Development Bank, and NGOs like the World Wildlife Fund and IUCN. And now running a project from the bank side called Punjab Rural Water Supply and Sanitation Project, which we are going to deliver a presentation on you today. And with me is Mr. Asadullah, who from the government side is managing that project. I'll let Asad Saab to give us.
Hello, everyone. Good afternoon from our side. I'm Asadullah, and I'm Pakistan Administrative Service Officer and representing the government of Punjab. And on behalf of the government, I'm managing this project as project director. And the name of the project is Punjab Rural Sustainable Water Supply and Sanitation Project. To implement this project and to operate this project, government of Punjab has set up a company, a utility. And the name of the utility is Punjab Rural Municipal Services Company. Thank you.
So since the presentation is on and I hope everybody can hear, so let me get into the first slide. So it's just to people sitting in Stockholm, they don't know much about Punjab. To give you an introduction, this is a map of Punjab. It's one of the 4 provinces of the country. It's the largest provinces. It houses about 53% of the population. Pakistan is a large country with 240 million people. So about 120 million people are living in this country, and 60% of those are in rural areas. So, so which makes and out of those 60% people, which makes about 75 or 80 million people in rural areas, 6 million people are covered by this project. So it's merely a 9% coverage of the whole province. It's spread into 16 sub-districts, which are called tehsils. And you can see the blue pins up there on the map. These tehsils are the selected tehsils. They were selected because they were the poorest, stunting was the highest, water supply was the worst, and sanitation was the worst. So with all these factors, we chose the worst areas to first address in the first 9% through database selection. All of these comprising in total makes 2,000 revenue villages, and a revenue village is an administrative boundary which can have 1 major or 2 major villages, but many other 6, 7 smaller villages. So in totality, these are 10,500 settlements that whom we are going to give clean drinking water, safe sanitation, solid waste management, and stunting address. So I'll go on to the next slide. Services. There are a lot of challenges in this country, and especially in rural areas where no investment has been made. There are World Bank studies which confirm that in rural areas, any investment, little investment that has been made has been in urban areas. So basically 86%, you see in the first pie is 86% of the population are self-providing. So government and NGOs and other donor projects contribute to only 14% of water supply. And these are backyard pumps and hand pumps with motors attached to them. They're pulling up water which is contaminated and drinking that. And then the second one shows you that 60% of the rural Punjab has water at the point of use. So access is 95% plus people have access. That is why they're surviving within a half kilometer or so, but 60% of it is contaminated one way or the other. And then 1/3 of the public water supply system become dysfunctional. And this is also a major dysfunctionality thing that in the last 70 years, 75 years since independence, whatever the government sector has put into working has become dysfunctional. And that was the one major reason why this project has come out as a new innovative model which is also cost effective, which also complies with SDGs, and at the same time, it hopefully it's not going to become dysfunctional. So far, the results are very good. So if I go on take you to the next slide, which is also part of the introduction. One thing I want to mention to you is that pipe water supply is the mainstream solution. And you see Pakistan in terms of pipe water supply quite below the rest of the world. But the other thing is that for last 15, 20 years, pipe water supply kind of becomes a questionable thing, that why, while everywhere in the world it is increasing slowly or fastly, but here it was decreasing, and there are many reasons for that, because people didn't trust it, they were dysfunctional, there were floods and all that, but mainly it was some kind of the way they were arranged, that government would make a water supply scheme and leave it and move on and make others. They didn't have an O&M plan, and we'll get into that later. The next slide still tells you there are more issues in the community, which is from 30, the highest, I think, in the world. Okay, just to continue telling the story from my mobile while the presentation is coming online. So what we found that in most of those earlier water supply investments by the government, they were mainly dysfunctional because there was no O&M and
progress.
And
Progress.
इसको mute कर इसको हाँ तो yeah that's the one. Unshare correct. So one of the big things that we have done, mainly, let me get into the project, sorry for these problems again, is that this is one of the lowest cost of water supply worldwide, the projects that the World Bank has gone through. And the reason for that has been that one, we looked at like services. We have formed a utility for which the government officer, the head of that, is sitting with me. But we are not applying the most expensive infrastructure. A lot of those European things are very expensive here. And with similar delivery of pumps and motors and even pipes, we can have much cheaper rates, even up to 1/6. So that is where major cost came in. The other thing is that the way utility has been set up to bring it to low cost has been that we have not inducted a lot of human resource that are going to be the plumbers and fitters and tube well operators and electricians. All those services are taken from the market. So the company has a minimum skeleton staff which oversees different contracts during the construction, the capital expenditure, and after the construction, the operation and maintenance. So that, and then there are, so if you look at this slide, which you're seeing right now, it says that this PRS WSP has a right side, but it also has in the first box under PRSP, you see MVS, which means multi-village scheme. So what we did is that rather than taking that groundwater, which I think I was showing you the slide, I don't know if you were able to see, all the pink part in this slide in Punjab are really bad water. And that is what 86% of the people who are self-providing have been consuming that. And then even other water are bad. So in order to stay away from the groundwater and even preserve it rather than deplete it, we are going into surface water, and there is a big canal system. But from some villages or settlements, the canals can be 5 kilometers, 10 kilometers. So we are laying longer pipelines, and to bring economies of scale, we are connecting 7 to 10 villages through one pipeline, which brings the cost even down than if you give each single village one water supply system and one sanitation system. So this multi-village scheme has been both good in terms of the water quality and its sustained water quality over 30 years, as well as bring down the cost. O&M, I've talked about it. If you go Below that, affordable prices and technological solution. I mentioned about the pumps and motors and many other things, the human resource. Then on low OPEX options is something we looked at. So because after making infrastructure through World Bank financing, it would be very difficult for the government to operate it. So we wanted to bring down tariff where the poor people, and we are in the poorest districts, could pay. So we have done everything solarized, both the water supply system and sanitation system. In addition to that, there are kind of large scale the framework contracts which are going to support water quality testing every 3 months, and which are going to do MIS and then take action on the grievances. And then there's a full behavior change campaign throughout the life of the project, and I will talk about it towards the end of the presentation. The other benefits of the drinking water we are giving, because it's all rural agrarian area, so a lot of that, once water is treated, it can be used for agricultural production. There's agricultural land around the settlement. And the health, of course, increases. Diarrhea, cholera, even hepatitis is reducing. And then it is meeting SDG 6.1 and 2 compliant. In addition to water supply and sanitation, the project is also giving solid waste management, 100%. 66% of it is biodegradable. So right on site, outside the village, we are making composting place. So there are sanitary workers hired by the company who collect it from door to door. The BCC training tells the households how to segregate it. There are trash bins given to the house free of cost. And then the collected biodegradable 2/3 of the waste becomes fertilizer or manure for use in the agriculture land. The remaining part of 1/3 either goes to the recycling industry or the residual parts goes into a, not a fully engineered landfill, but a reasonable landfill for rural areas from Pakistan's standpoint. There are climate benefits also, and what we have recently done, we have connected this project to the carbon market, which would be giving credits up to $40 million for the sale of mitigation outcomes of emission reductions. For one, the part that we are solarizing. For two, the wastewater that we are treating. And 3, for solid waste management. So that is, again, an additional benefit that this would be the first program at this scale going to the carbon market. The cost of the project, just to look at the number, the top blue line tells you is 0.76 per capita per month. And the per capita investment made are only $92 for both water supply, sanitation, and also solid waste management for 3 items or 3 type of services. In rupees, it becomes, we have put a tariff. In Pakistan, they have not been charging any tariff, and that is one of the reasons why every utility had to go to the government to get subsidies, and subsidies, some point they dry up, and they are a political decision. Sometimes they come, sometimes not, and these investments become dysfunctional. So in this case, the company is actually on break even, no profit, no loss, but getting about $3.50 or so of per month per household of tariff for water supply, sanitation, and solid waste combined. And people are happy to pay that. Every house is metered. So in Pakistan, even urban areas have not been metered so far. So we are moving people to volumetric kind of payments. And with this, we can do 2 or 3 things. One, water conservation becomes much easier and people start to conserve water. And 2, with the meters, we can also have slabs where we can charge less to the poor rather than having a standard charge based on the size of the plot, no matter they're poor or rich. And then again, if there are more people, they consume more, they have to pay more. The services in Pakistan, usually in rural areas, are you push the button of the motor, you get some water from the ground. If it is a public water scheme, it gives only for 1 hour or 2 hours a day. Our operation will be 24 hours, 24/7 water. So the water supply amount has been increased, and the way they have been managed, that in the daytime, tube wells will run, but with solar. But as soon as the sun goes, there is overhead tank which would be filled up during the daylight hours, and at night when it is not peak flow, the water will be consumed by the community for night supply. So making it a 24/7 operation, while the running would be only during the sunlight hours. There, I mentioned about comprehensive BCC scheme already. Let me move to the next slide. A few other browning points of this project is that we didn't use the peak factors. So I get, it would be rightly said, and you can question that we are not using gold standard, which probably would be used in Stockholm or London or New York. We are using silver standards here, just to kind of have a bigger amount of people get services rather than having turn up volume. Okay. I have my volume at the highest. Okay, let's see. I'll mute from. Okay, I will mute it. Or is the sound working? No. Yeah.
Hello?
Yeah, you can hear me now.
Yeah, we can hear you again.
Sorry, I was hearing messages popping out on the screen that there are sound issues. Anyway,
Okay.
so we are doing on this infrastructure is rationalizing the peak factors, because in rural areas, there are not big peak factors like industries and all. There are some kind of congregations, festivals, and we have minimized peak factor to 1.2 rather than 1.5. We have lower cost, like a tog rod pump and motors. We have even gone to the point that the sizes of the pipe, usually you'll see in a water supply scheme, if it is a 6-inch or an 8-inch pipe, it would stay the same over even several kilometers. But as and when water is distributed in 8 or 10 villages, the flow to the next village, the aggregate flow reduces. So the pipe size has been reduced. And pipe is the biggest cost in any water supply scheme. It's not the pumps and motors and tube wells. So piping is where we wanted to save the cost. And then I've already mentioned about technical backstopping, which is through private partners, consultant, market-based solutions, not hiring hundreds or thousands of people in the utility. The technologies we are selected for wastewater are called anaerobic baffled reactor. They have a pretty good effluent quality treatment efficiency. And then we are adding, of course, things like bar screening, grid chamber, as well as wet wells, and in some cases, in most cases, drying beds also. And that is complying with the national environment quality standards. I must share with you that our standards, country standards, are a bit more lenient than the European or the North American standards, but we are in compliance with those standards. And for rural areas, they stand good because the whole environment is so open, airy, so everything does not get diluted. Coming to the next slide, this is showing you a picture of our capital expenditure and for operational expenditure and construction of an anaerobic baffled reactor, the ABR, on the top left-hand corner. The pipes which are being placed are constructed on the site. So there are molds, every contractor brings them, they make them, and there's testing also which happens on the site. Like you can see a pipe broken, and then they check the strength before putting those pipes. We have technical design teams, and we have wastewater sampling also every 3 months for the life of the project. If the project is 25 to 30 years, it will continue. We have framework agreements with the very reputed laboratories of the country. In terms of financial sustainability, I won't go through everything on the slide. You can read it at this time while it is on the screen. But a couple of things I would like to mention is that the energy bills after the construction or capital expenditure has been done has been calculated to be 70% of the operational maintenance cost. And that we have cut down to zero by solarizing everything. And as I said earlier, the last line, water meters are installed with volumetric tariff, and 700 Pakistani rupees is $3.50 per month, or $4 written here on the slide. So this is the amount of money in which they are getting water supply, sanitation services, solid waste services, and a couple of more things. So this is a meter. I'll tell you a couple of more things later. Sorry for that. I'm jumping a bit fast because I've lost a lot of time while this connectivity issues has happened. But what is important for you to know on this project is the kind of meters we have selected. They were per household up to $27 to $30, and we have got one in $10 or $11 with the installation of the meter. They can neither be corroded easily, they cannot be tempered easily, they don't get blocked with silt because there's some amount of silt, and they have a long service life. They're working in a lot of communities already, so that we are already have piloted a few types of them, and the one which is going to function the best while the project goes on to all the 16 districts, that one would be selected. On BCC, I mentioned that our BCC is a bit more special. And you see there are bullet points that it doesn't have modules on safe wash, safe sanitation, and SWM. It also has on stunting, environment, health, diarrhea, and all those issues. Agriculture production, animal waste management is also part of it. Because a lot of these rural people have animals in the house, and kids play with the feces of the animal. So there's BCC as well as some project reinforcement to stop this kind of thing within the households. So it's a strong BCC component that is for the lifetime of the project. There are a few photographs of how these activities happen, because BCC happens with women, with the community, with the village organization. So there are many different kind of stakeholders, and for each one of them, it is a different kind of BCC campaign that is being made part of the whole integral campaign. In terms of accountability and transparency, there is an integrated MIS, which is all functional. I should have put down the URL for that. Many things you can go and see in real time. Even there is an enterprise resource planning system, which gives everything, all transactions, procurements, everything is online now. And likewise for the external, what the contractor is doing, how much progress is, how much payment has been done, what are the claims are, you can see online for each one of the site going over there. The grievances are also part of the same MIS system. And the grievance, if it doesn't get addressed in 24 hours, it gets escalated to the next level and the next level. So the person has to get up and address the grievance, otherwise their boss will come to know about it. And then there are third-party assessment and evaluations also, though we haven't done those yet, but they are also coming on the way. Benefits and add-ons, I've discussed child stunting. So it is reducing, it's claiming to reduce 25% of stunting for every child born after the project has given, not 25% cannot be reduced. Those people who are stunted, they're stunted for life. It doesn't go away. But what it's claiming is that those children who will get clean water, clean sanitation, and solid waste and all that, there will be a 25% reduction in newborn babies and from the current baseline. And then Carbon footprint, I've already talked that the project is bringing $40 million from the international market. And then it's going beyond the basic services. If you look at the bottom left-hand box, it says it goes beyond the basic services. So the project, in addition to the 3 services, where I stopped last time, and as I will complete that sentence, is that they are also giving children parks, brick pavements, otherwise they were dirt roads, all in the village, in every street of the village, as well as some place to sit. So every village here in Pakistan has a small output pool that was from the colonial period. The British had that for women washing. Later on, it became a dirty pool because all wastewater without any treatment was dumped into that pool, which is just outside the village premises. Now that village is getting clean because there's no more wastewater is going. So the pool is becoming clean, and we are putting benches across it. You can see some of the photographs here. You can see some play area for the children that has been made, and it is servicing. You can see some of the brick pavement roads that are there. And as I said, there are benches around that. I don't have a photograph here in the presentation, around the pool area. Barbecue grills out there. So it has more become an aesthetically good looking and a picnic area for communal activities for the village. So I think that is also something really appreciated by the local community. And it is really more attractive than than the other 3 services that we are giving. This is, I think, my last slide, which gives you a few of the works in progress. You can, on the bottom right side, see an overhead tank, which I said gives the night supply, while in the daytime tube will runs through the solarization. This brings me to the end of the project, but before I'll stop sharing here, but Asad Saab, my co-speaker, who is also executing and implementing the project, would like to share a few things, and then we'll get into question and answers.
Thank you so much, Fran sir. Fran has already explained the concept of the project, and I'm very happy to reveal here that we have implemented this concept in letter and spirit. So this is not, maybe 2 years ago, it would have been just an idea. And when we started off, there were a lot of doubts in the government's mind because these kind of services have never been provided before in rural areas of Punjab. And people said people won't pay for it. This project won't be financially sustainable. And people said there will be, because in Pakistan, political environment is so charged that you would face so many issues while executing the project. But I'm happy to share that we have not only made sure that there were no conflicts because of the BCC campaign, and we are happy to share with you that communities have donated their lands, because in our project, one of the best things, one of the things that the government was not going to purchase land from the local people. What people have done, they have come forward and donated their land. Because when we engaged with them, with the communities, we explained the project, what benefits it would bring to those communities. And the community leaders or the communities, people who had spare land, they gave the land for the project. So they transferred the land to the company's name. And then the best part is that, like, as a test case, because although the government has allowed us to charge 700 per household per month, as a test case, which is to see what the willingness of the customers is to pay for these services, we started to charge them a connection fee. Because in other utilities for electricity and all that, we usually charge them connection fee. So the test, we decided we would charge each household 2,000 rupees one-time fee. And I'm very excited to share that we have recovered 100% of the demand notices which we issued. So this is a great achievement. So we have, traditionally, there was first, people never got these services. They never paid for these services. Whatever services were provided, they became dysfunctional after a year or so. But this time we have changed a lot of trends. And now the government is planning to expand these services to other areas. And recently we had a meeting where it was discussed that this utility company would also be providing another project, which is as big as this one. And that's for the city of Lahore. So these are the achievements that shows we have also made it a success. So this is from my side. If you have any questions, what were the lessons learned to this journey? If we can, we're happy to share that.
Thank you. And now we are open for question answer. Uh, I'm looking into the chats. There are some questions there. So one of the question here is that the international water, the IMI, International Water Management Institute, also work along these lines. Yes, IMI has been quite active here, but that has been more in the irrigation sector for development of water resources for farmers, not for drinking water supply in Pakistan. Then another question here from Mr. Guiding the rationalized design practice, or is it up to the designer? We are not. We are in compliance with all its standards of engineering standards. So they are called ASTM. But ASTM gives you a few options. You can use grade A pipe, B pipe, C pipe. All of them are ASTM approved pipes. We are not choosing the largest pipe and the most expensive one. Of course, there's a downside to that, and there's a trade-off. Life could be even longer, 40 years for the best pipe. So, but they are all, yes, engineering design in compliance. About the environmental compliance, according to SDGs, in which the country's national laws, which have national regulations, which have to be adopted as far as they can be. So in our cases, it's all clean water, WHO quality standard, which is coming in the tap. Even in urban areas, people buy these bottled waters, but these poorest people are getting cleanest water at home, and it is 24/7. It's metered. Another question here that I see is, how do you compromise low capex versus quality of infrastructure? See, we are in the out of the 2,000 revenue villages, or out of 10,500, we are still in about first 10% of those villages. That becomes 1,000 something villages, small and large. And they are the pilot for the remaining 90% of the investments. If we find that there's a compromise on quality, we will improve that in the coming villages. But so far, the villages which are online and already delivering services 24/7, we don't see an issue. Probably meters would have to be upgraded. $7 or $8 meter will have to be jacked up, and we are working on that. But the other things are fairly okay, because I said there could be a compromise on the life of it, but the way the project is designed is also phasing. Pakistan has a good growth rate. So if the infrastructure life is 30 years, after 10 years and after 20 years, the villages are going to grow substantially in number of people. We will need to extend services. We'll need more fuel and more pipelines, distribution network. So at that time, the company which would be running based on the tariff will also expand the services and more fuel. So the life is always going to be added with more new infrastructure coming in one. And two, that there is going to be a constant review of the quality and everything going forward.
So I would like to come in here and explain that, what do we mean by the standardized actual needs of pipes? We have not done that. We have actually optimized it. For example, standard diameters which are used in RCC pipes or sewage conveyance is 9 inches or 12 inches dias. So what we have done is we have actually where we have seen there are very few people living there, and we have calculated the load, and we have used smaller diameter pipes there as well. So this is what we mean by rationalization of design. So otherwise it would be very easy for us to you just go with the previous practices, but we have not used those practices here.
So I see one comment on further clarifying what IMI has done. Yeah, I agree to that, and we'll look into that. It's a good comment. What kind of work they have done. Sorry. So my other line is reconnecting again. So through the mobile, at least you can hear me. So this was a response to all the questions in the chat box. And if there is anything else, we'd be happy to see that.
Recording in progress.
Sorry. With this, we come to the end of this discussion. Yeah, we have come to the end of the presentation, and unless there are no more questions, we can close the session. Yes. Let me look at the chat box one more time. Okay, supply network, domestic plus approach in there, but usually at much smaller scale than the presented project. Again. Okay, one of the questions that has come here is that we can learn more from Pakistan. Where can we find more information? And there is a so there's a website.
We have a
So
website.
can you please explain that?
Yeah, so our most of the information is on our website. Or if you can, and otherwise you can connect us with people. I leave my email address here if there are more resources you
Can
need.
we write the website here in the chat box? So we are just putting the URL for the website of the company, which has all the information in the chat box. So you can go and see more about the project. And Asad Saab, the CEO of the company, will also put as an email if there are any questions, even after this presentation. Please feel free to send an email, and we'll instantly respond. So now in the chat, we have got both the things. The website www.prmsc.punjab.gov.pk and Asad's email address. So one other thing, just to before I close, is that now the government of Punjab is already discussing to make more project of similar nature and similar size, or maybe even bigger. So this Punjab project 2 version is in the planning stage, and it will probably come again through the World Bank, and will pick up another 12% or so population from rural areas, making a total of 20% at rest. So probably Pakistan needs 5 projects or 7 projects like this to address the whole province. So that is again a positive thing that is happening, that everybody is recognizing. There's a lot of expectation in the community, especially with the associated infrastructure like brick streets, the play areas. It has totally changed the landscape. A lot of learnings of this project were taken from one of China's project, Zhejiang, Zhejiang. Zhejiang is the province. Zhejiang Rural Water Supply and Sanitation Project. If you like, you can go and Google that also. And we try to bring those up, of course, capacity issues and some investment ability of the government in China and Pakistan are highly different, but we try to bring the standard up there. All right, to everyone, Is it, there are no more questions, so we'd like to thank everyone
Thank you everyone for listening to us.
for listening to it, and we are open to more discussion, whether through email or through the CV platform, and answer those questions. This PowerPoint will also be left with the CV. We are not in Stockholm, so I hope you'll find a way to get access to the PowerPoint. Thank you all.